How does Vice President Rubio sound to you?
It doesn't.
Has a kind of a ring to it.
No, I absolutely think I'd say no. I wouldn't want to be Vice President in 2012.
Of course, you would have a lot more power as Vice President, potentially.
He can deny it all he wants.
I'm not going to be the Vice Presidential nominee, but I'm always flattered when people bring it up. I think.
But there's no denying that a lot of people think Senator Marco Rubio,
his name is Mitt Romney, the next President of the United States,
could be Mitt Romney's running mate.
You've barely been in the Senate 2 years. You're 41 years old. Yeah, you're 41 years old. Do you think you're qualified to be a heartbeat away from the presidency?
Well, look, I have a job now, and I certainly feel like I'm qualified to be in the United States Senate. Like anything you do in life, you learn. So certainly I feel that I'm better prepared to be in the Senate today than I was a year ago.
Senator Marco Rubio.
Maybe he's seen as too young for this election cycle. But in Marco Rubio, many conservatives, not to mention Tea Party supporters, have a new hero.
And I promise I'll vote for you.
Thank you, I appreciate it. Thank you.
One who is personable, seemingly unflappable, and could wind up helping to broaden the Republican base with Hispanic voters.
You've been called the Tea Party senator. First of all, do you like that name?
I have no problem being associated with the Tea Party, but I can only tell you what I stand for. And I think the things I stand for, and I think the things the Republican Party should and does stand for, are very mainstream positions.
Those positions are strongly conservative, right down the line.
So where do you stand on abortion rights?
I'm pro-life. I believe life begins at conception.
Where do you stand on Obamacare or the Affordable Care Act?
I think it should be repealed and replaced.
What about entitlement reform?
I think it's essential. I want to save Medicare. My mom's on Medicare.
So what is this?
That's me. I think I was in 12th grade or 11th grade when they put the new sidewalks in. I guess I wrote our name on there, Rubio.
Understanding Marco Rubio requires a visit to West Miami, the heavily immigrant Cuban community where he spent most of his childhood. He still lives there in a modest house with his wife Jeanette and their 4 young children. Rubio's parents came from Cuba to the U.S. in 1956. His mother's jobs ranged from hotel maid to Kmart stock clerk. His father struggled to find steady work his whole life.
You know, he wanted to be a businessman. He wanted to own his own business, and it just never kind of worked out for him. Ended up becoming a bartender, and really, at some point in their lives, it became the purpose of their lives to just give their kids the chance to do all the things they wanted to do but couldn't do. I've always felt driven to do the things they couldn't.
But in high school and college, Rubio was less interested in studying, more interested in football.
I wasn't a standout, but I enjoyed it, and I would have been in the NFL had it not been for my lack of size, speed, and talent.
Finally, he buckled down and got a law degree. He married Jeanette Duzbedes, whom he met in college, and then he jumped into politics, winning a seat on the West Miami City Commission.
I used to sit, where did I sit? I thought I sat right here.
One of his early victories, getting trees planted on a street that had been left bare. It's a sense of possibilities that he says he still carries, only now on a bigger stage.
I'd love again to feel like I did that day when those trees were going in the ground, only this time we saved Medicare, only this time we balanced our budget, only this time, we found a way to make our tax code normal.
He served in the Florida State House of Representatives, becoming one of the youngest speakers ever. But there were some missteps along the way. At one point, he claimed his parents fled Cuba after Castro took over.
I wish I would have known the date. I would have gotten it right. I would have said they came before Castro, but...
So you weren't trying to exaggerate your biography?
I don't know what that adds to the biography. I mean, and maybe some in the media nationally that analyze this don't fully understand it, but here in Miami, among Cuban exiles, the fact that they came in 1956 doesn't change anything for anyone.
And then there were the questions about his use of a Florida State Republican Party credit card to pay for personal expenses. He paid the charges and says it was all a careless mistake.
And now I have to spend all my time explaining how I use the card instead of talking about public policy. So it's my fault, and obviously I learned that lesson.
Then came the chance to run for U.S. Senate, which led to some interesting discussions at home.
Jeanette, you're not a real big fan of politics, are you?
No, I'm not a political person.
This is a great beginning.
Rubio was up against Florida's popular governor, Charlie Crist. But behind in the money and in the polls, he convened a meeting at his house. He was strongly considering dropping out. It was Jeanette who spoke up.
I didn't agree. At that point, at that moment, I didn't agree. You know, first of all, it's something that we don't teach our kids. Once we start something, you do it. You know, and he really wanted to do something to make a difference. And so therefore, once we got on that road, we're going to stick to it.
I guess my question is, why did you need your wife to tell you that? Why didn't you know that yourself?
Well, because I was the one that was afraid.
He stayed in the race, portraying his opponent as too liberal, with help from a hug that Crist famously gave to President Obama in Florida. Rubio won.
Now, these are just 3 examples.
Now he spends many weekdays in Washington while his family is home in Miami.
Is that tough, having him in Washington most of the week?
I'm used to it, but it's not easy. You know, it's not easy when I have to do things with the kids, activities, homework, you know.
It's like being a single mom during the week.
Yeah, it is. It's like being a single mom. It is.
Thanks for making me feel good, guys. I appreciate it.
But he does spend time with his family on weekends.
Go get water.
Their faith is an important part of their life. Rubio was born Catholic, but when his parents briefly moved to Las Vegas in 1979, they joined the Mormon Church.
So you grew up Catholic, then you were Mormon for 3 years, then you came back and were Catholic again, and now you go to a Baptist church.
Well, yeah, a church that's affiliated with the Southern Baptist Convention, but
people are going to say, "Wow, that's interesting."
It is
both.
Yeah, and that's the so at some point
You never stop being a Catholic.
I never stopped being a Catholic.
But you're not going to Mass every Sunday.
We do, absolutely.
But you're going to a Baptist church.
Well, we go to Mass every Sunday, and we also go to Christ Fellowship quite regularly. Yeah, we go to both.
I'm honored and I'm privileged to be here with you today.
Rubio's story is about to get a lot more attention with a tour promoting his new autobiography. As the son of Cuban immigrants, he brings a unique voice to a heated debate within the Republican Party.
Let's talk about the Hispanic vote. Does the Republican Party have a problem with Hispanics?
I think it has work to do.
It makes no sense to expel talented young people.
On Friday, President Obama made that work harder, easing federal laws to allow young, undocumented immigrants to stay in the country without facing deportation. The move largely undercut legislation that Rubio was planning to unveil. Rubio has been walking a fine line on immigration, his Tea Party affiliation, and refusal to condemn Arizona's tough immigration law, for example, have put him at odds with many Hispanic groups. But Rubio says Hispanics are worried about more than just one issue.
Americans of Hispanic descent do not wake up in the morning every day and talk about immigration for the next 18 hours. I mean, they have jobs, they worry about their family's economic future, they have to pay student loans, they have payroll to make if they have a small business.
Latest polls show President Obama up by more than 40 points over Romney among Hispanics, which clearly begs the question one more time.
Are you being vetted by Mitt Romney's campaign?
Well, I'm not going to discuss the process, and that shouldn't take it as a yes or a no.
Would you like to be president someday?
I've never thought about wanting to be a specific job in politics.
Come on.
No, seriously.
You guys need to try it. This is really, it's good for your heart.
But then we visited Rubio's favorite West Miami bakery.
Meat pies, empanada.
And the folks there, who have served Marco Rubio plenty of pastries, seem to have no doubt about where their favorite son might be headed one day.
Do you think someday you can send the pastries to the White House?
Oh, yes. I know I will. Before I go, I know I will.